Hi, everyone. It is November 14, 14, 2024. Just want to say a quick hello to everybody. Alicia, hello. Angelos, hello. And Analog Synth Player and Tony Punch. Andrew Cruz, D. Moore, Rage Against the Machine. Hello. Louisiana Skywatch, hey. And Czech Rock Stars. Nice to see you. Barb in Ohio, Shauna Howard. Argle 11, hi. Rods and Browen, hello. And Kim Blanchard, Christopher James, hi. Patricia White, Mama Rages, hi. Oh, wow. It's quite, I don't know what is going on here. When I first got to Idaho, the skies were, relatively calm, should I say, just not much spraying, but wow, in the last couple of weeks, but the last week, it's inundated. And I wish I could show you. I have taken videos, but yeah, I finally fixed whatever the problem was initially, that I couldn't upload videos onto my computer. And then I could, and I was like, yeah, fix that problem. Well, now I can't upload these videos, and I don't know what the problem is. So tired of problems. Oh, Silent Walk, hi. Jane Northrup, KS, Don Miguel. So let's just jump into it, and I don't, we'll see how long I last with this. Just feeling very out of sorts, very tired, but I still have things to share, and I'm going to. So here we are. Not much on the radar scene, which is good. No severe weather alerts. But does that mean that we have, well, throughout the world, there has been no severe weather? No, I'm sorry to say. Well, let's the mishaps. It's a misnomer, but what is going on? Louisville, Kentucky had an explosion that, people had to shelter in place. And that was at some food, I think, packaging facility. But that was just a couple of days ago. Now they had a building collapse in Louisville, Kentucky, with a construction worker trapped.
We continue to watch here on CBS News 24/7 this breaking news playing out. Louisville, Kentucky, Phoenix Hill neighborhood. A building collapsed and one person is trapped. You are seeing first responders there, all of their attention around what is sort of a hole or a crevasse there where that building collapsed. On the right side, you see the hydraulics there. They are pushing a piece of wood up against the rubble. That's to keep it from collapsing down on the person that they are trying to rescue. We just heard a moment ago that they have medics also coming there to help this person. And we have the opportunity to listen in on an update that was given just a second ago from one of the first responders. Let's listen in.
Right now, there's one individual who is currently being rescued. It's going to take a while, but here to give a briefing on what occurred and what's taking place right now is Louisville Fire Chief Brian O'Neill.
So here's what we have so far. We have, there were about 6 workers that were on site working on demolition. One of those workers at about 11:40 fell into a void space. And when they fell, a lot of rubble and debris came down on top of them and they were pinned. Immediately, they ceased operations, called 911. We received the call, it was dispatched, and we had companies on scene within 3 minutes. As soon as we got on scene, we set up, we realized what we're dealing with is what we would call confined space rescue or trench rescue. A little bit different than structural collapse because nothing fell. This is something that a person fell into. We have all the experts that do this on a regular basis, train on this type of thing. So they set up, the individual that's in there is talking to us. He is Spanish speaking only, but Captain Ramirez from Rescue 11.7 is bilingual and is speaking to him right now. They have got, this is a very, very slow process. So,
and I do hope that that man has been recovered. Collapsed building in Kentucky. Well, things just seem to be collapsing all over. Why do I have this open? I don't even know. But I'm wondering if I had. No. Okay. Brush fire reignites overnight in upper Manhattan as drought continues. The drought in Manhattan. Okay. Well, yeah, Manhattan is, it's a concrete jungle, but hey, this is really, I'm a New Yorker. This is not what we ever experienced.
Now to breaking news. Flames have erupted again this morning at Manhattan's Inwood Hill Park. It comes hours after the FDNY said a large brush fire there was under control. Crews have been battling the fire since Wednesday afternoon. Christina Fan live at the scene in Inwood with more. Christina.
Good morning, Chris. Fire crews were stationed around the park overnight, worried that hotspots might reignite. They did have a scare around 2 a.m., but that situation is now under control. That flare-up occurred near the Henry Hudson Toll Booth Plaza. You can see a line of flames lighting up the night sky as firefighters surveyed the hillside from a ladder truck to determine their plan of attack. The FDNY commissioner called the conditions inside Inwood Hill Park treacherous. 140 firefighters and EMS were called here Wednesday afternoon after multiple brush fires broke out. There are no fire hydrants in the forest, so crews had to use water from the Harlem River and stretch hose lines more than 150 feet up a hill. It took 4 hours to get the situation under control, but overnight around 2 a.m., the fire flared up again. Thankfully, crews were nearby and quickly doused those flames.
Looks a little suspicious to me. I don't know, but I can't tell you how many times I have gone through that toll, the Henry Hudson toll. And yeah, well, I just, something is amiss. Another fire in New York in a building 44 stories high. Now, nobody was injured and they got it out, but New York, what is going on? What is going on? Yeah, they have studio apartments at this building for $5,000 a month. Whoa.
I think you'd all just be sitting here, just have some smoke.
Right here. I just don't know what to say. Okay. Oh, wait, another fire in New York today, in Queens, an apartment building. Yes, the residents are displaced.
Firefighters also battled an apartment building fire in Queens. Intense flames could be seen shooting through the roof of the building. Alan Devlin spoke with tenants affected by the fire.
A massive fire ripped right through this Queens apartment building. You can see some of the gutted apartments right here. And right now, a whole lot of people still trying to figure out what comes next.
I couldn't believe it. It was tragic. It feels like one of the worst days of my life.
Orange flames and black smoke dominated the skyline over Howard Beach and raged from apartment to apartment in this 6-story building.
My apartment's gone.
Keith Reworker lives right where the fire started. His unit unrecognizable.
All the windows are broke. Everything's broken. Everything's burned. Everything's flooded. It's bad.
Fire crews say the 5th and 6th floors got the worst of it, with the flames shooting up to the roof, engulfing at least 10 units. At the height of it all, 140 firefighters were on scene battling the blaze. Miraculously, everybody made it out okay.
It took us 2 hours to get this fire under control. There were no injuries to any civilians, 2 very minor injuries to firefighters who've been transported to the hospital.
It's bad. It's not good. It's not good. Robert Sisti lives on the 1st floor under where the fire started.
It looks like a horror movie.
He gave us these videos showing some of the aftermath from inside.
You have all the red lights on, so when you walk through the hallway, it's pitch black with red light, and you hear the water dripping, and it's like full flood. That's why I put the boots on.
The Red Cross is on scene assisting the displaced as investigators try and figure out what went wrong.
You know, we're all consoling each other. I don't know what else to do.
In Lindenwood, Queens, Alan Devlin, CBS News, New York.
Where are my New Yorkers? New Yorkers, I need you speaking out, speaking up. This is more and more displaced people. A hybrid Ford 150 truck ignites into flames on the road. Oh, that green energy revolution is really bringing an awful lot of suffering to those who have to deal with the consequences. Hybrid.
That's Anthony Zini's new 2023 Ford F-150 hybrid unexpectedly on fire on a dirt road in Canton. Moments later,
the fire originated from the front right.
It was unrecognizable. Photos show what's left of the 8-month-old truck. Zini said he was transporting his boat to storage when he noticed smoke coming from the front while on the freeway.
Once I came to a stop, that gray smoke turned to black smoke. Fire started coming from the hood. I yelled to my brother, "Get my daughter." And at that point, I just wondered, is the car going to blow? Am I going to lose my daughter? We ran away. As we're running away, the entire truck was up in flames, and there's nothing left.
As you're seeing this car go up in flames, what is going through your mind?
I was happy that my daughter and I and my brother were safe, but I was also upset seeing it burn to the ground, knowing that's my truck, I'm losing it.
Zini said flames destroyed the truck in less than 5 minutes, but it felt more like an eternity. He, his brother, and his 4-year-old daughter are okay physically. However, this situation has caused some trauma.
It's definitely shaken my trust. I can't get another hybrid. I can't.
Zini hopes that sharing his story can be a warning for others. And look at this. The National Transportation Safety Board says hybrids are more likely to catch fire than gas-powered and electric vehicles. Just 2 years ago, Ford recalled 125,000 hybrid models of its Escape, Maverick, and Lincoln Corsair because of 3 vehicle fires.
I feel that Ford needs to take a little bit of responsibility in this, and so I wish I would get a better answer than just deal with your insurance. I want to feel some empathy from them, see it, and hopefully they can rectify the situation.
Electric vehicles also just burst into flames. All right, so my subscriber in Ecuador has been sending me some pictures of the fires in Ecuador, and apparently now there are about 30. And of course, the fires are jumping rivers, jumping roads. Yeah, okay. So this is outside, but you can't really tell because this is not in the sky. This is from the camera. But they said public announcements, citizens need to be aware the fire has skipped the river and is heading towards Venado del Sol. Oh boy. Urgent. Just got a call from a firefighter. They need more help up at the San Pedro, some Podocarpus area. He says the fire is massive. So it's, yeah. So we've got fires in Ecuador, and The subscriber did tell me that her neighbor evacuated. She hasn't evacuated yet. This is an absolute terrible fire. No military, no firemen, just locals trying to put it out. And somebody reports there are cows, horses, and donkeys that have been burnt. Okay. So I have asked her to keep me updated, but when she goes outside and she can see all of that smoke, well, yeah, no one can escape what is taking place. All right. Once again, I am going to recommend Alaska Sky Watcher. Recommend that you subscribe, support Alaska Sky Watcher, and circulate good videos on weather modification, geoengineering, very important videos. They need to be circulated.
What's up, Skywatchers? What is up indeed? Thursday, November 14th, 2024. That little clip should destroy the contrail narrative. The narrative is there to divide and conquer. Today, we're going to explore the potential to supercharge the atmosphere by introducing high-energy electrons using particle accelerators and electron beams from NEXRAD. Now, we know the military and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, have been experimenting with hurricanes since the 1940s with Project Cirrus and Project Storm Fury. We have also seen electromagnetic pulses come from NEXRAD every single time flooding and disaster strike. And sustained beams of energy come from the NEXRAD facilities, seeming to supercharge storms and steer these systems. There are also many other facilities that contribute to this technology, such as large transmitting telescopes, incoherent scatter array radars, ionospheric heaters such as HAARP, SuperDARN, and similar facilities around the world and the South Pole Station. This year, we have seen the destructive power of weather modification across the world, and right now, I have my sights on Tropical Cyclone 19, soon to most likely become Hurricane Sarah. For this to happen, they will have to use many of their weather modification tools. Right now, the system is expected to bring feet of rain to Honduras and the Yucatan Peninsula, exactly where we see these beams of energy coming from Cuba and pointed westward toward Mexico. We also see radar anomalies coming from Mexico's particle accelerators. Now we know 193 nations are working together to bring about Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 and the Pact for the future that they're stealing from you and I. So let's talk about particle accelerators and their role in atmospheric science. Electrons can be created through a process called pair production, where high-energy photons, light particles, collide and generate electron position pairs, an electron and its antiparticle, essentially creating matter from pure energy. This can occur in high-energy environments like particle accelerators. Synchrotron light has been used to study the atmosphere in a number of ways. Synchrotron light is a type of electromagnetic radiation that can cover a wide range of the electromagnetic spectrum from infrared to X-rays, and it's produced when charged particles are accelerated within magnetic fields. So now we understand electrons can be introduced into the atmosphere from particle accelerators, effectively ionizing the atmosphere. We would normally expect this process to occur naturally from solar radiation. Electrons primarily affect the atmosphere by creating charged particles called ions through a process called ionization in the upper layers of the ionosphere, significantly altering the electroconductivity of that region and influencing atmospheric chemistry and phenomena like aurora borealis and storm production, localized disturbances, and ozone destruction. Now, we have seen these scientists harness the power of nature, recreating natural processes and essentially turning the forces of nature into a geophysical weapon. And it's my position this can be used to cause earthquakes, atmospheric rivers, artificial aurora, hurricane, volcanic eruptions, and even mud floods. This is the plan. This is the not-so-great Great Reset. All right, I'd like to thank Mandy Burrows, VK Arm, Sandra Maria, and Sharon Stolz for using my Buy Me a Coffee link. I really couldn't keep doing this without your support. Much love and many thanks.
The link is in the chat again. And I love seeing people who already have subbed. Louisiana Skywatch and Rods. Very cool. And shared. Thank you, Louisiana Skywatch. You know, look, can we stop the weather modification and geoengineering? No, we don't have the numbers on our side. But is it important to share the information anyway? Circulate it? Absolutely. You know, you might be able to educate somebody. You might open somebody's eyes, and that is very important. So you take the action and you let go of the results. Thousands evacuated. Where? Oh, Spain, Malaga. Hit with torrential rain. Okay. Again, another area close to Valencia. Massive flooding.
Now, weather red alerts have been lifted in southern and eastern Spain. Overnight, large parts of the country were hit with more torrential rain. This just 2 weeks after more than 220 people died in flash flooding in Valencia. It's the same weather system affecting Malaga and other parts of southern and eastern Spain. So this map shows the areas worst affected. Valencia, which is still recovering from a year's worth of rain in just 8 hours last month, may now be hit with several months of rainfall. Will Vernon reports.
Spanish streets deluged once again. This time, the province of Malaga bore the brunt of the storm. Thousands were evacuated away from rivers that had burst their banks. Local residents struggled to get to safety. Hospitals, schools, and transport were disrupted. Emergency services warned people to expect more flash floods here over the coming hours. And in Valencia region, people are braced for further flooding to come. The alert level in some areas has now been raised to red.
They have told us to go home because of the storm. Heavy rains are coming, so we should stay at home and in high areas if we can.
Only 2 weeks have passed since more than 200 people were killed here in Spain's worst natural disaster in decades, after a year's worth of rain fell in just one day. While the latest storm isn't expected to be as strong, large amounts of mud remain and drainage systems are blocked. Even small amounts of rain could lead to more misery. Experts say this year's floods have been made much worse by climate change.
We know that
I can't go there. I will link to this video if you want to go there. But I am so sick of these people lying, and the young people who are part of this, for-profit industry called climate change. They've been educated. They've been educated to believe in all of the climate change lies. Educated by the older people who have lied to them. Great. Isn't it just fabulous? So this is Malaga and Marabella. Come on. Wow.
Madre mía, José, ¿estás viendo? Fíjate, 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 fíjate. Madre mía. Madre mía el tejado. Madre mía el tejado. ¡Ay, la gasolinera! ¡Hola, hola, hola!
Tornadoes, whirlwinds.
¡Qué barbaridad! Espérate, sube, sube para Vitania, madre mía. Una cuba.
Oh, too much rain. The drainage system can't handle it, so it's pumping it all out onto the road.
Mira, la llegada de la pelo. ¡Cago en la puta!
Wow. Water spouts, everything in this one. Everything. Oh. And now Valencia is supposed to be getting more rain. Great. Fabulous, huh? Wow. Okay, there is no climate emergency. And I wish that these who are, speaking out, addressing this climate change scam would also talk about weather modification and geoengineering, but they don't seem to.
Key scientific point is it has never been proven that human emissions of carbon dioxide drive global warming. Only 3% of emissions are from humans. The rest is natural, from ocean degassing mainly, but some from volcanoes. So if you're to prove that humans and their emissions of the gas of life change climate, then you also have to prove that the natural emissions, 97% of all emissions, don't change climate. That has never been addressed. We have a fallacy from day one in this whole climate hysteria. It's got nothing to do with the environment. It's got nothing to do with being green, except that being green means you get a huge pile of greenbacks. This is about money. This has got nothing to do with the climate. It's got nothing to do with the environment. It is, can I create a new way to skin the punter alive? And that's what's happening. Just look at your electricity bill and just wonder why in this country we had cheap, reliable electricity. Now it's very expensive. Now your job is threatened because of this expensive electricity. This is probably the biggest con that we've ever had, maybe the biggest con since the Dutch tulip craze. It is a con. It's not underpinned by science.
Well, he's not the only one to say that, right? I also have a playlist on Never Lose Truth. No number, just plain Never Lose Truth. And the playlist is climate change fraud or scam. Can't remember the name of the playlist, but a whole lot that are renowned in their field, respected. The experts who are qualified to speak on this subject. There are tens of thousands of them, and so many have tried to get their voice out there, but nope, the propagandists, they silence them and destroy them, destroy their reputations. Now, just want to point out that everywhere around the country now, there are people suffering from the collapse of our infrastructure, from the collapse of our decency, from the collapse of people just, we have this social contract with one another. Well, that's collapsed as well. So the greedy psychopaths are out there. But yeah, here we have, either the water is poisoned or you just don't get any.
Frustrated with the lack of a consistent water supply to their home.
The Reynolds say the issue arose before the storms, but as this major inconvenience persists, they are turning to 8 on your side for help. Our investigative reporter Brittany Moe joining us now with the story.
Keith, Stacey, good evening to you both. One day they have water and the next day they can't even shower. The Reynolds say there are ongoing repair problems with the pump that need to be fixed once and for all.
When Shelba and Ronald Reynolds turn on the faucet,
It's even smaller now.
they never know if they'll have running water.
They got it back on just for a few minutes and then it started down to a trickle again. So they're working on it, but they've been working on it for months and they haven't got it fixed.
Shelba says her Mount Carmel Ridge neighborhood has seen water supply issues since the summer when management replaced a water tank. The 55-plus community runs off a well.
Just inconvenient. We just don't shower for 2 or 3 days at a time.
After the back-to-back hurricanes, Bedrock Community says the well was offline for 6 days until power was restored. Since then, Bedrock says its residents have experienced low water pressure. Water service is occasionally turned off until repairs are completed, and an electrical issue. Through it all, residents have been under consistent boil water notices.
It's a necessity.
The Reynolds are frustrated, especially as rent increases without this necessity.
2 years ago, the rent was $445. Today, it's $700.
Bedrock says they have provided all residents with a $200 credit on their November rent. In addition, Bedrock shared this statement. We have contracted with another company to replace the current above-ground turbine pump motor with a submersible pump motor, which is expected to provide a more reliable system and prevent future issues. Bedrock Communities tells 8 on Your Side service has been restored, but the Reynolds say otherwise.
They need to get it fixed once and for all.
Okie dokie, yay. It's lovely living in the US of A. Trenton Waterworks issues mandatory water restrictions because of New Jersey drought.
Second utility company in New Jersey to issue mandatory water restrictions.
Trenton Waterworks wants to make sure customers have enough water for essential needs. Just yesterday, Governor Murphy put the entire state under a drought warning. Now that gives the state the power to tell utility companies to shift around supplies to the hardest hit regions. CBS Philadelphia's Madeline Wright explains what the restrictions mean for homeowners.
Just a little bit, just enough to wash it.
Trenton homeowner Johnny Blanco is using the least amount of water to clean his dishes. He only runs the dishwasher when it's fully loaded, and he only waters his plant once a month.
I wish everybody can cooperate a little bit more and, preserve water. We're very conscious about it. But I don't know if everybody's the same way.
Blanco is among 217,000 consumers with Trenton Waterworks who are under a mandatory water conservation notice amid the worsening drought. New Jersey American Water also issued a mandatory conservation notice by requiring customers to turn off their sprinklers. These restrictions go a step beyond New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, who asked residents to voluntarily conserve water. But state officials say utilities are allowed to do that.
And local water utilities, depending on their region and their conditions, might still take more stringent action to preserve localized supplies.
Trenton Waterworks says it gets all of its water supply from the Delaware River, but because of the drought, the river is 8 feet lower than normal, which translates to millions of gallons of water that aren't available for customers.
We are probably one of the largest public water systems in the United States. We serve 5 towns, and we just want to make sure that drinking water is used for essential purposes.
Essential purposes like washing our hands. Blanco is hoping Mother Nature cooperates so his life can go back to normal.
A couple of days ago, it was a small rain. We was happy about it, but it wasn't much.
Governor Murphy says if conditions don't improve, the state may have to issue a drought emergency, but says that outcome could be avoided if everyone conserves water.
Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Well, yeah. Oh, weather modification, geoengineering. Can they cause drought? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Did I put the link into this and say, hey, please circulate? I'll do it again if I did. But yeah, more. Look, do not think that your insurance company is going to come through for you if your home is flooded or if it's burned down to the ground.
You pay in, and no.
To Bill Van Riper, since property insurance denied covering this, what good is insurance?
They're going to try to fight it with a lawyer. Right now, tentatively, that's what they're going to do, and who knows how long that process is going to take.
This home belongs to his daughter, her husband, and their 2 children. They are displaced after Hurricane Milton rainfall washed out the ground underneath their home and the home next door. Both homes are deemed unsafe to live in. A sign on the front door tells potential inhabitants, enter at your own risk.
This house is just decaying by the week, by the day, because of the exposure to the elements. Some of the roofing is gone.
Van Riper says stormwater drainage issues are to blame for the extensive damage, the scale of which is shown here from Eagle 8. News Channel 8 asked the Polk County Roads and Drainage Director Jay Jarvis about any system failures that may have occurred during the hurricane. Jarvis responded, quote, storm sewer systems are not designed to handle extreme events such as Hurricane Milton. The county has no plans to try and address this issue for such extreme events, end quote. He also tells News Channel 8 the damage is on private property, so will need to be addressed by the property owners and insurance company. Van Riper says his daughter and her family have hired a lawyer to appeal the property insurance denying their.
Hire an attorney. Fight your insurance company for what you deserve. And it's very costly to, fight these insurance companies. Litigation is not, cheap. Okay. Well, what else do we have? We've got something very bizarre. Okay. Greyhound buses, not just once, abandoning passengers. Yeah. All right. There will be no security. You will not be able to rely on anything. And that is what our world turned into. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to, this cancer that has metastasized. It's getting tentacles of it. Wow, it's getting everywhere.
He left us. He left my roommate and I in the middle of nowhere in Arizona.
Continuing coverage tonight as Fox 17 News is receiving calls from across the country after we broke a story about a Greyhound bus driver in Tennessee abandoning passengers. Passengers in this case, including a baby, were left at a gas station in Jackson. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller has been on this story all week and continues to uncover new concerns.
Yes, Scott. Well, the power of social media, we're now hearing horror stories from coast to coast, starting with the story that we broke to you from passengers traveling from Nashville to Memphis that were abandoned in a gas station. Now, new tonight, we're hearing from a woman that's traveling from Hinesville, Georgia to Manhattan, Kansas, and she was left in an open field. And another story of a woman traveling from Los Angeles all the way to Oklahoma City with her roommate, and they were both left in the middle of a desert in Arizona.
Fox 17 News first reported a Greyhound driver leaving passengers at a gas station in Jackson, driving off as a woman knocks on the door. This video is why Amanda Harding wanted to share her story about recently taking a Greyhound bus from Hinesville, Georgia to Manhattan, Kansas. Harding says they were supposed to stop in Lawrence, Kansas to switch buses, but explains the bus driver dropped her and another guy off in a field.
He said, "You guys are going to get off here." I said, "This is not right. There's nothing here. It's just an open field."
Harding says the stop turned out to be 20 minutes from the actual bus stop.
Got our luggage off and told us, "Have a good day," and drove off.
Harding and the other passenger flagged down a driver and paid a woman to drive them to the actual bus station. Harding asked Greyhound for help.
They told me that they could not give me a refund for my ticket because services were rendered.
Because the email says the trip was completed. We heard from another Greyhound passenger, Laura Bush in Los Angeles, who was taking the bus with her roommate to Oklahoma City.
He made everyone get off the bus because he said he had to clean it.
Bush says they took a random bathroom break in a small town in Arizona. She and her roommate grabbed a sandwich and went to the restroom and came out and the bus was gone. Bush says seeing the video that Fox 17 News first shared online from what happened in Jackson fired her up.
I relived the trauma. It was like we were living a scary movie. You're dropped in the middle of the desert in the heat, 2-lane highway, no cars.
And again, no refund from Greyhound.
I reached out to Greyhound on Monday, Tuesday, and again tonight. I also reached out to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that oversees issues with Greyhound to see if they can help step in to help with these issues. Now, we want to know if drivers are being held accountable for these actions and why these passengers are not getting reimbursed. I will continue to stay on top of this so passengers can get the
reimbursed. I mean, they should get, damages for, just emotional trauma. Can you imagine being on a Greyhound bus and you're expecting to be dropped off in Oklahoma City, but you get dropped off instead in some desert in Arizona? Okay. That's a little weird, isn't it? Yeah. Very weird. Well, nothing seems to be working quite right these days, right? Yeah. And how about our state agencies as well as federal agencies? Nowhere to be found. North Carolina lawmaker on Environmental Regulation Agency. It's FEMA. It's state agencies that just don't seem to be doing the job that, these agencies were created for.
Out in North Carolina, State Representative Jake Johnson. Jake, Representative, thanks so much for being here. Get into these rules that could really hold back the recovery of this completely devastated part of Western North Carolina.
Sean, Dagan, thank you all so much for having me on. DEQ is our Department of Environmental Quality. And, if you're doing construction or building a house or trying to develop a business, DEQ is oftentimes the first one on the ground, maybe blocking you from getting where you're needing to go. Let's say some mud, runs off side of the road or something. They're usually there on the ground. The problem I'm seeing right now is they're nowhere to be found. You're looking at the images on screen right now that we're dealing with out here. And the agency who is supposed to be in charge of protecting the environment is nowhere to be found. I represent the Lake Lure Chimney Rock area. I'm sure many of you have seen the images. The town of Lake Lure, or the town of Chimney Rock, has pretty much washed into the town of Lake Lure, along with all the businesses and homes that were there. You're talking about commercial kitchens, propane tanks, fuel. You're talking about a sewage line that was washed away. Huge environmental concerns for the lake and the ecosystem below it. And the agency who is tasked with that, who is usually the first one on the ground enforcing these regulations, are nowhere to be found. So what we've done is go in and look at some common sense ways we can actually roll back regulations to speed up the cleanup process, whether that be with burning debris, getting rid of those permits, making sure we're expediting wastewater treatment facilities being fixed, and making sure we're mitigating the red tape when we're rebuilding roads. Transportation is a huge issue out here right now.
So is your point that the Environmental Agency of North Carolina has to give the approval for much of this cleanup, and they're nowhere to be seen, so they're not giving the approval? So to stay compliant with the law, we can't go forward with cleanup? Is that what's happening here?
A little bit of that. More so, they're not there at all advising on just something as simple as water quality in the lake, where all this debris is washed in. They've given the towns, the last I spoke with them, which was very recently, the Department of Environmental Quality had given them no guidance on how bad it was in the lakes and rivers. And that's a huge issue. You're seeing on screen right now, that's the town of Chimney Rock that I represent, Western North Carolina, totally decimated. And they're getting no guidance from the state agencies, much less FEMA, who took forever to get on the ground out here.
I was going to ask you about that, because the Democrats and the people, the bureaucrats in government, they will try their level best to dismiss this issue after Hurricane Milton down in Florida is just a one-off. But we all know, and you didn't have to be on the ground after Hurricane Helene hit in Western North Carolina, Jake, FEMA was not there. I talked to dozens of people, all those helo pilots who were flying in for days and days and days, and FEMA was not there doing rescue operations. And I just wanted to get your reaction to that. Did they finally show up?
Dagan, Sean, it was two things you never want to hear to describe a government response are slow and inefficient, but that's exactly what they were. They might have had someone on the ground with a clipboard coming by to check a box, but as far as having people on the ground helping move things, actually helping people know what their options were, that took weeks in some areas, and that's absolutely unacceptable. We had people that had lost their homes, lost their businesses, lost relatives. I mean, they lost everything, and they had nowhere to turn. It was our local folks on the ground, nonprofits, volunteers, neighbors. That was who was really helping in the opening hours. On top of that, I mean, it took us 3 days, and I can speak to this from personal experience. I live in a small county of 19,000 people. It took us 3 days to get a medical evacuation helicopter into some of our areas. That is unacceptable. And that's unacceptable to even get food and water in, much less a medical evacuation.
Shameful.
Can't count on your government anymore. It's gone. It's not, it ain't there for you. But yeah, all right. Fox News reporter Pete Hegseth nominated to be the Secretary of Defense. Okay. Just focusing on this one appointment. Shows you the swamp. You clean out the swamp by removing some people, and then you just put in another set of swampies. But okay. I'm just going to play this. I'm sorry. I'm not quite right tonight. I'm going to play this for a few minutes and just think about, so many people believe that Trump is the savior. Okay. so not the savior for an awful lot of people, right? And a whole lot of people do think in terms of, oh, you'll save me, not others, me. Things will be better for me. And that will be the case for, a number of people. They'll experience, a better economy. But for the majority, no, things won't get any better. But those who feel a little bit better because Trump, look, we get so happy with crumbs thrown our way. And those who are eating the crumbs will go, see, he's so much, no, he's been okay for you, but look at the majority and look at the world. We have to start caring about how many people we are killing all over the world. Because you can't set yourself on a good direction if this continues. If the foreign policy doesn't change, and it will not change, more and more will be killed innocently. These innocent people will be killed or left to suffer the consequences of what we do overseas. And does it impact us? You absolutely better realize that it does, even if you don't feel it. But here we go. Fox News anchor as Secretary of Defense. This is who he is.
All right, Michael Tracy dug up this gem here. Apparently, a bit of a Ukraine hawk as well. So here he is. Pete Hegseth, the Fox News anchor Trump just picked for defense secretary, produced a 2022 special called The Worst Case Scenario, in which he said the future of America and the Western world were at stake in Ukraine, impacting the cause of freedom for generations to come. So here it is, Exhibit A.
In Ukraine is unraveling at a rapid pace. Cruise missiles and columns of tanks, threats of nuclear war, and dire consequences. One question hangs over everything. What is Russian President Vladimir Putin capable of? And how far is he willing to go? This is the worst case scenario. The consequences of this war are still unfolding. And the future of not just Ukraine, but America and the Western world is in jeopardy. The actions taken today in Ukraine, in the halls of Europe, and in the White House will impact the cause of freedom for generations to come. We pray for peace, but plan for war. History shows us that peace only comes through strength, strength that is meant to deter war. But war has broken out, which is why we must consider the worst case scenario.
So, folks, what do you think he thinks about Israel? Well, let's see. Zionism is Americanism. Pete Hegseth.
Oh, wow.
A serial adulterer,
Wow.
apparently. I guess that's a prerequisite to work at Fox. You have to be a serial adulterer. That's just a, hey, can't fault them there. It has to be on your
You've
resume.
never been accused of nothing. They don't trust you.
That's right. He also promotes dual loyalty as a good thing. Yes, that's right. Here he is.
Wants to take the stage.
Sorry.
Anyone that wants to take the stage and talk about dual loyalty is dead wrong. What this organization represents, what Western civilization represents today, is an understanding that Zionism and Americanism are the front lines of Western civilization and freedom in our world today.
Oh, that's not all. Not even close. Here we go. What can Israel learn from America? No, you need to reverse that question. The question is, what can America learn from Israel? Here's another gem from the next Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
When I came here, a lot of people asked me, a couple people this morning in a press conference, what can Israel learn from America? Was asked a couple of times. And each time I stopped and I said, you need to reverse that question. The question is, what can America learn from Israel?
Got to tell you, I'm starting to think Epstein had a second plane just for this guy. You know, could be a second part to that story that we haven't heard yet. That's what it sounds like. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, how is this make America great again? How does it make and to be fair, I mean, Trump danced around in front of a bank of Israeli flags, bragging how well he served the Adelsons the first time around. So I can't say this isn't what he promised. A lot of people, when we would point this out, would say, no, he's playing 4D chess. Well, no, looks like he's just playing plain old checkers. He told you Israel was his priority. And those are the appointments that he's making. Now with Ukraine, he was kind of all over the map, but his appointments are once again showing a hawkishness there that contradicts some of his rhetoric. But none of this is really a surprise. This is what's the best predictor of future behavior? Past behavior. The idea Trump was just a babe in the woods the first time. Okay, well, what about this time then?
Yeah, no, pretty crazy stuff. Here's one more video I have to show you here. Now, look, fair is fair. He doesn't produce the segments necessarily. He's not in control of what B-roll is showing while he monologues. But when you look at the words coming out of this sick fuck's mouth juxtaposed with the images on the other side of the screen, this just shows you how just stone cold. I don't know. Jimmy said something about if you call somebody sociopathic, they demonetize you. It's as if he was
Is that true?
I don't know.
I called Kamala that for like 2 years.
Yeah, we say it a lot, so I don't know what the rule is there. But I'll say this. You have to be a pretty unfeeling person to talk like this with these images going on the other side of the screen. So here he is.
If you open up your Bible, God granted Abraham this land. The 12 tribes of Israel established the constitutional monarchy 1000 BC. King David was their second king and established Jerusalem as the capital. Jews were fighting foreign occupiers for centuries, ultimately maintaining a presence there. But the key aspect, and right now, Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims are trying to erase the Jewish ties to Jerusalem as we speak. I've been there multiple times. They're trying to make it look like Jews were never there. The most important aspect of this is the international community granted sovereignty to the Jews, to the Jewish state after World War II, and Israel has had to fight defensive war after defensive war with every country coming to crush it ever since then just to exist.
This is something I've said again and again since this broke out. You know, they kicked me out of Hebrew school when I was 9, and I haven't been tuned into the conversation around this since then. It is amazing to me how frozen and amber all the talking points are. This is shit they used to say to me in Hebrew school. That's exactly the narrative. Oh, we just want to live in peace and we're surrounded by enemies. And if they would just leave us alone, we could live in peace, and we're just constantly under threat fighting defensive wars. I mean, he's just parroting the whole party line there, man. That doesn't seem.
I'll put the link in. You can listen to the remainder, but yeah, not much is going to change. Mike Huckabee, evangelical Zionist, appointed the ambassador of Israel. Tulsi Gabbard, who is a rabid Zionist, and as the director of national intelligence, which is really kind of intelligence. Okay. Not much is going to change. Arkansas, lots of Baptists in Arkansas loving Israel. Wow. And of course, yeah, let's just ignore all of the destruction of Gaza and the West Bank. Let's ignore that they are stopping aid trucks, so people are starving. Palestinians are starving. Let's ignore nearly 20,000 children dead, okay? We'll ignore all of that, and we'll just, like seals, go, oh, good Trump. I'm so happy. I'm so happy Trump won. Yay! See, the people of America are immoral. And they care truly about their own hide. How anybody could support what is going on with all of these wars, but with this happening in Gaza and the West Bank, just that one particular area, how anybody could ignore or feel absolutely fine a Christian? Are you kidding me? Something is so grossly wrong, and that there's an awful lot of people who think that Trump is their savior, and they feel better than those on the left, those on the blue team. You support Trump, you vote for Trump. Could you maybe ask him not to kill any more children?
Today, the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza and called for Israel to respect the sovereignty of, quote, sisterly Iran. It marked the strongest criticism of Israel by the man known as MBS since the Hamas October 7th attack, and signaled a turn away from Saudi normalization with Jerusalem. All this as a UN-affiliated organization is warning of, quote, imminent famine in Gaza. Here's Nick Schifrin with more.
This weekend, an independent famine review committee affiliated with the United Nations declared that across northern Gaza, starvation, malnutrition, and excess mortality are, quote, rapidly increasing, and famine thresholds may have already been crossed or else will be in the near future. Little to no aid has reached northern Gaza over the last month since Israel launched a new operation and called on all residents to leave, saying Hamas had regrouped. Jan Egeland, a longtime diplomat and humanitarian who is the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, recently traveled to Gaza and joins me now from Amman. Jan Egeland, thank you very much. Welcome back to the NewsHour. Let me first show you the areas of northern Gaza that we're going to be talking about. The Israeli operation last month is focused on Jabalia, Beit Lahia, Beit Hanun. You were only able to travel as far north as Gaza City. What did you see?
Well, Gaza City looks like Stalingrad after the Second World War. It was much worse than I feared. I'm really shattered by seeing how humanity has been trampled upon through Gaza. More than 2 million people are trapped in one of the most confined areas on the planet, and they are under the most intense and indiscriminate bombardment by enormous Israeli Air Force, and they're using indiscriminate bombs provided by the United States. This will come to haunt Israel and the United States because this is so much against every principle of civilization and of law.
The Israeli operation.
And that's exactly right. It will. Israel is not doing the Israelis any favor, the IDF, the government, the Zionist government, nor is the United States doing Israelis any favor with what is going on there. It is so disturbing. So disturbing to see so many people just support everything that Israel is doing and the United States and not care at all about the complete erasure of a people. I'll put the link in. You can listen to the remainder of the interview, but Hey, no problem. We'll just starve people. Israel and U.S. ramp up airstrikes on Syria as counter-Iran war expands. War, killing. That's what we're good at. That's the exceptionalism of America. It is so sick. It is so psychopathic. It is so evil. But let's just keep it going. And Trump, there's so many people who support Trump. He's going to get us out of those wars. Did he get us out of the wars in the 4 years that he was in office? No. He ramped up the drone strikes, beating out Obama, who beat out Bush on killing a whole lot of innocent people all over the world. Come on, Americans, this shit show, evil shit show, is just going to continue. And look at this. I mean, come on. Every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed to Ukraine. Really? Okay. All right. You see how many Americans are really hurting? Seniors being thrown out of apartments because they can't manage the skyrocketing rents. Yeah, let's just throw them out to the street, not care at all about them. How about all of those who are suffering these weather events? They have no home. It's wintertime. Who cares about them? Kamala Harris, give them $750. Holy shit, Americans, man. You better snap out of your apathy, your lack of empathy, something. At least show that you are still part of humanity or something.
As we're working to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to effectively defend itself, the United States continues to step up. We've obligated just recently and pushed out the door another $8 billion in security assistance for Ukraine. That was in September. Another almost $500 million just a few weeks ago. And President Biden is committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door between now and January 20th. As we're working to make sure that
I don't, yeah. So often it's so sickening, so absolutely sickening, disgusting that here we are doing the same old. We're just as crazy as an awful lot of these government officials, our leaders. Israel said seeking Lebanon ceasefire by January as gift to Trump. But in the meantime, we're going to kill as many as we can. Suburbs of Beirut. Let's just destroy. Yeah, Syria and Lebanon and Palestine and excuse my French, but we've got an awful lot of sick motherfuckers in positions of power, and that's unfortunate. And we just keep voting for him. You know, let's yeah, well, this guy is my team leader. I'm all for him. It's a crazy world. Israeli occupation forces storm the town of Silwan in occupied Jerusalem, fire tear gas canisters at Palestinian homes. Get them out any way we can. Hezbollah claims first ever attack on Israeli war ministry headquarters in Tel Aviv. Wow. Okay. Lebanese authorities said that 17 people were killed, 21 injured in Israeli airstrikes on the central and southern towns of in Lebanon. I mean, this just continues and continues and continues. Well, it's not going to stop under Trump, that's for sure. Cancer Jews, tram set alight, violence erupt in Amsterdam. In second wave of violence. And yes, they're still on it. That, my God, all of these Jews were attacked in Amsterdam, mainstream media. Everything is a lie. Everything is a flippin' lie. Violence erupted on the streets of Amsterdam on Monday night in the second wave of anti-Semitic attacks to hit the Dutch capital. Right. The Maccabi soccer fans and Mossad was there. So what does Mossad do? Well, they create an awful lot of violence, that's for sure. And here, we're not even going to talk about what the Israelis were doing, what they were chanting, kill the Arabs, and their absolute, they were disgraced, their behavior during this match. They had a moment of silence for the Valencia victims in the flood, and the Israelis were screaming and just behaving as unruly, junior high school students. But no, we're not going to. They were also pulling down Palestinian flags, off of homes, and they think that that's perfectly fine. And they were beating people up. Anybody who wore, any hint of being a supporter of Palestinians. Aren't you sick of the lies, man? Aren't you sick of the fact that we can't stop these liars? That we don't even have any power over all of these liars? Can't hold anybody accountable? Tram set on fire in Amsterdam, riot as tensions remain high. And there were days of these so-called riots in Amsterdam. But what's, now happening in France? Well, Paris will deploy 4,000 police officers for France-Israel soccer match following Amsterdam violence. And what did we see in Paris? It really is, you know, I mean, anyone who is supporting Palestinians is on the right side, wanting this war to stop, wanting the genocide to stop. And, well, yeah, a little upset that so many innocent women and children, especially, are getting killed off. Yeah, because the children, Palestinian children, as young as 2 years old, are terrorists. They're on the right side. Look at how many people are on the wrong side. All right. Well, yeah. Unfortunate, but this is what's happening. So, yeah, and somebody posted that, Ryan Christian, last American Vagabond, did like an hour debunking the lies that were taking place, with mainstream media. But there are so many debunking the lies. Israeli newspaper admits Tel Aviv thugs started Amsterdam riot. The link is in the chat. But no, it's just going to continue and continue. And the killing and the rockets and the bombs and everything is just going to continue. Israel's Haifa hit by one of the largest Hezbollah rocket barrages of war. So these rockets from Hezbollah are hitting inside Israel, Haifa, Tel Aviv. Israeli airstrike kills at least 23 in Lebanon, including children. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Just bring your best self to life every day as best as you can. But if anybody thinks that Trump is going to get us out of these wars, he puts a rabid Zionist into the Defense Department as secretary, and he's a Fox News reporter. Come on. Tulsi Gabbard, 100%. She would like to see all Arabs gone. So, unfortunately, we see, the footing, and it's taking us not in a good direction. So, all right, I'm gonna jump off. I really hope you guys stay safe. I hope that for any of you who have not suffered the consequences of the evil that is, wow, it's got its tentacles everywhere. I hope you never have to, because it's not fun. Be a human being, a two-legged of good heart and mind, and help people in your community. And beware the weather terrorists. On that note, I say good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.